Good evening and welcome to Signature Evening. My name is Queensley Rowland. I don't know how your evening is going over there, but thank you for joining us. It's always a date to have you here on Signature Evening with us every 7 p.m. every single day of the week. In the highlights, on politicals, we're going to talk about the economics and management of national debt in Nigeria. And afterwards, we're going to look at an interesting subject matter, global mental health issues. We know everything about mental health. Now we are going to take a look about it and all that concerns it and how it affects us as humans. And afterwards, still on politicals, we're going to talk about the 2027 presidential zoning and the future of Nigeria. And on the retrospect for today, the second midweek retrospect we're going to have interviews that we've had before, replayed for our own pleasure. And afterwards, we'll have a regulars, fashionista, autograph, and chat box. Don't forget to follow us on all the social media platforms. We are always live on YouTube 247 and on SLTV Channel 265. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll have our discussion for today on mental health. Stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. Let's dive right into our first discussion for today. Global mental health is a significant public health issue affecting a substantial portion of the world's population. Mental disorders are among the leading causes of disability and health loss worldwide, with anxiety and depressive disorders being particularly prevalent. About 15% of the world's adolescents have a mental health condition. Around 1 to 7 young people ages 10 to 19 have a mental health condition. Despite effective prevention and treatment options, access to care remains limited. For many, stigma and discrimination persist. What then is the way forward to prevent this medical condition ravaging the globe? And that is the question that we're going to answer in today's discussion. And to have this discussion on global mental health issues, in the studio we have Mrs. Uzuamaka Nwachukwu, who is a psychotherapist and mental health practitioner. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, thank you.
Okay, just to people keep talking about mental health. What would you describe mental health to be?
Okay, yes, mental health is truly a global issue, and when people talk about mental health and you ask them what it is, when they begin to talk, you find out that they don't actually know what mental health is. In fact, some people, it's new to them, the word is new to them, especially over here, Nigeria and Southeast, and let me talk about Enugu, because in my organization we serve questionnaires. We collect data based on people. We want to know the knowledgeable people that has come to learn about mental health. And we find out that, I'm sorry to say, about 95% don't know what mental health is. And they usually mistake mental health to be mental illness. So they see mental health and call it what it is not. Okay, so there's a big difference between mental health and mental illnesses, and that is why we have the misconception leading to high stigma of talking about mental health. Even to have the discussion, it's a difficult big issue, because before you know it, the person is already pushing you away. Please, I'm okay. I am not mad. So they believe mental health is meant for mad people. Please, I don't want to talk about anything madness. I don't want to go to the psychiatrist. I'm not mad. So you find out that people always associate mental health with madness. And this is coming from lack of awareness and education on what mental health is truly all about. Then also, when you push out the word out there, even with the meaning, people are not still buying into it. They are still wallowing and feeling that this is a white man challenge. It's not an African challenge, really. So we are okay. This is Oyibo. This is Oyibo sickness. We don't have
as
mental.
long as you're not running
yes,
mad on
we don't
the
have
streets.
mental health issues. So it makes it difficult to talk about it. Even institutions, professionals, people you think that they are aware of this are not really aware of it, because I know we've met people even in the medical field. They will tell you, I don't think we need mental health. How can a medical field, a hospital, tell you they don't think they need mental health? So how do you intend to support people mentally and emotionally? Because we are usually carried away with physical health, seeing a doctor, getting a prescription, taking medications. We are not concerned about mental health issues because we don't know what it is. What is that mental health issues? Is when someone has discovered his or her abilities, or in a state of well-being where they have discovered the ability to cope with their daily stress. I usually ask people, do you go through stress? When they say yes, I say, then what are you talking about? It's all about mental health stress. They're like, really stress? I said yes. Once you're human, because this is a human problem, a human challenge, once you are living and once you are going through stress, obviously you encounter mental health challenges. So it's when you are now in a state of well-being where you have discovered your abilities to cope with your daily stress and still remain productive and also still remain functional in your society. While mental illness is a health condition that it's now affecting the way you behave, the way you socialize with people, the way you think, because you have not actually taken care of your mental health. So it has degenerated and it's now affecting you, giving you some challenges that may likely crop up some mental health illnesses.
So would you say mental illness is a fraction of mental health?
Mental illness is as a result of not taking good care of your mental health.
Okay,
exactly.
So that's like the end product of it.
Exactly. And that is what we champion in our organization, because you find out that we don't tackle things from the preventive measure. We allow things to deteriorate, get worse, even probably to the point of madness. Yes, there's a part of it that has to do with madness. The schizophrenia phase leading to psychosis when it's not handled well. But that is not even just the mental health illnesses we have. And people also believe that madness is just the only mental illnesses we have. So, but you find out that there are other mental health illnesses people don't even know is as a result of not taking care of their mental health. People don't even know that eating disorder is part of it.
It's a mental problem.
Yes, eating disorder, sleep disorder, personality disorder. People are more used to depression and anxiety disorder. So they don't know there are so many mental, even there are ones that occurs at childbirth. We call them neurodevelopmental disorder. The ones that happened at childbirth that affects the brain. That
the brain of the mother or the child?
The child. That leads to having an autistic child, that leads to having ADHD and intellectual learning disorders. So there are so many mental health illnesses people are not even aware of. Okay, even a major depressive disorder is also part of it. The OCD, the MPDs, the DID, the borderline depression. People don't even know about borderline personality disorder. People don't know that so many things happening to them as a result of not taking care of their mental health, and that what they're actually facing are mental illnesses, and they're calling their village people.
Okay, so what are some of the common mental illnesses?
Okay, the common ones, or rather what we tag the common ones, are usually clinical depression, because that's another place where people also misuse the word depression. Somebody can be going through a sad period, sad moment, maybe lack of finance, and say, oh, I'm depressed. You know, I don't have food. But when you get an ice cream, they're smiling. You know, just rough challenges, they say they're depressed. And it makes that word not to be taken seriously anymore, because when we talk about the mental aspect of it, we're talking about the chronic depression, the major depressive state, or the clinical depression that could lead to suicidal thoughts, or actually someone committing the suicide. So depression, it's common, in as much as we misuse the word depression. Being in a depressive state doesn't mean that you're having depression. Depression is deeper. It's a mental health disorder, and we target clinical depression. Then the common one is also what we call bipolar disorder, known as mood disorder. You know, some people say it's common with women.
Have mood swings.
Yeah, mood swings and all that. So we have what we call the bipolar, it's common, and also have the anxiety disorder. So these are the three main disorders people are more familiar with and also affect us down here.
Looking at this one that you just mentioned, the depressing part of it, being depressed, do you have to be medically proven that you're depressed, or at what point do you really realize that I'm depressed at this point?
Okay, when the sadness is consistent, and before you know it, you are withdrawn. You start isolating yourself from either your social group or from friends or from family. You want to stay alone. Then it also affects your eating, your appetite. It affects your sleep. Then you need to check it. And the major one, the red flag, is when you now lose interest in things that usually gives you pleasure before. You're no longer interested. Your favorite game, your favorite food, your favorite place, when they come up, you don't feel like it anymore. They no longer give you joy. Things that used to give you joy no longer give you joy. There is a call for concern. And that is where a professional help is very, very important.
So could you be depressed and still find things interesting? Is it possible?
Then it has not gotten to the clinical stage.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about.
So it's just a moment of sadness.
Yes, it may be just a moment of sadness that you may come out from, maybe a day or 2 or hours, or when the need is met. But when you know it's serious, even when the need is met, it hasn't solved the problem. So it's deeper than just that need that probably you felt that gave you the deep sadness. So even when it's met and you're still in that serious and major depressive state and it's consistent, then you need to seek for help.
Currently, mental health disorder is becoming like a trend for youth. You see people that come online and they are self-diagnosed of ADHD, self-diagnosed of OCD, and so many other things. At things like this, do they really go through these things, or is it like a form of attention that they are seeking?
You know, the truth is, a lot of things are online, and you can't debunk anybody's feelings. They are entitled to their feelings. But just like one person reached out to our organization with her ebook and talked about depression, wrote books, pages, and after engaging her, I found out that she wasn't even diagnosed. Even though there are red flags, there are also some mental health illnesses that share the same symptoms and signs and red flags. So you actually need to get a professional help. You actually need to be diagnosed by a professional that will tell you, okay, this is it, and this is what we're going to handle. So doing a self-diagnosis because you feel maybe what you read online, this is what I'm feeling, it may be true, but you still need to be certified. You still need to get confirmation that this is what I'm actually going through. Because even when you come out to the social media, you are creating more problem for yourself. I'm sure you know what it is when you read people's comments. So you may even be adding
to what is not there.
Pepper to the salt and all that, exactly.
So the stigma around mental illnesses and how it affects people, there's stigma around it. And how has this stigma actually made people not to openly seek help, the help that they need?
Good. It is still coming from that misconception of madness, because they are ignoring other mental health illnesses that doesn't have anything to do with madness. So when they feel that they open up to talk about their mental health challenges, So they feel you're going to perceive them in a certain way. So they rather keep it to themselves because it's still a heavy topic. People are not willing to talk about because they don't really know what it entails. So because everybody is looking at each other, oh, if I talk about mental health, I am running mental. So let it not be that I want to get married, I want to be employed. They will not say that I have a history of madness and all that. So they keep their challenges to themselves. They struggle with them. They don't speak up. They don't seek for help. They don't seek for support. And even when some open up, we create content with them.
With it.
We mock them. We call them attention seekers. Because obviously, people that are calling them don't even know what mental health is all about. So you find out that we're in a society that lacks compassion. Even if the person is creating a content, let's reach out, let's help, let's get to the person and find out what actually is going on, because we've also seen cases whereby some people spoke up and we ignored and felt it was content. At the end of the day, they committed suicide. Okay. And another thing is, when we're around people, we don't observe them, because mental health challenges is not seen, it's not written on the face. Somebody can be going through a whole lot and be smiling. In fact, that's another irony when it comes to depression. Somebody going through depression can be smiling, jovial, doing all the necessary thing, being productive, buying gifts for other people, but they are dying inside. So you find that people don't really ask or observe what has changed about you. You are withdrawn, you have isolated yourself because we are overwhelmed with our own issues. We lack compassion. It's now a selfish world where people no longer genuinely care about the well-being of the next person to find out what's going on. And probably when they hear you've committed suicide, they will cry more than the bereaved,
I mean, that's always the case. But these treatments are not cheap. If you have to pay for a therapy session, it's really expensive. I mean, if I have that amount of money, I probably won't be depressed. So,
I love that. That is an assumption. Do you know why I say it's an assumption? First of all, we do offer free counseling services from time to time. In fact, we offered free counseling services last month for specific people, for the physically challenged, for the elderly, for the retired, for the bereaved, for the pregnant mothers and postpartum depression. Nobody shows up. So it's a problem. We don't have that culture of seeking for counseling and therapy. We still see it as Oyibo affair. We are not seeing it as African thing. How can I sit down and talk to somebody I don't know how?
When I can just pray.
Pray or talk to my mom or talk to my family member. So it's not our thing. So it's not about the cost, because even when you go to our websites and go through our counseling therapy, it's not that much. We even offer the first stage with you is even free. So we've offered free so many counselors and people are not buying into it. They are not using it. They are not taking it up. Probably they don't even see the need for it, or probably it's not our culture, it's not our thing. Or probably I'm not dead, I'm not mad yet.
Speaking of postpartum depression, you just mentioned this is something that we don't talk about. And recently, I noticed some moms online come to talk about how they face, how it has actually shaped them and changed their mindset. And they were really, really depressed. I never knew there was a thing like that after childbirth. So how well is the medical field, helping women going through situations like this?
So you can actually say, do we really have one? Do we really have a support system for nursing mothers or people that have given birth? I don't think we have such things. Even if they're in existence, there are few. You understand? Or maybe people that are aware can now do that for their partners. I don't think we have such a thing put in place, because it's a major depressive state for a woman that went through creating another life, body changes, mood swings, pain, some went through CS, traumatic for them. Some lost their babies, some lost their pregnancy. So is the society equipped enough to support such women? They are not. That is why NGOs like us come in to offer this help and support to women. Because if we keep waiting, who are actually the people that will do the work? Okay, so this is not, I wouldn't say we have a society that supports that really.
honestly. June is Men's Mental Health Month. What have you guys been doing so far for the men? Because whenever we talk about mental health, we just think it's, we don't really appreciate men for the things that they go through in the society, trying to be the breadwinner, sort out the bills, and so many other things, trying to be the hero of their family every single day. June is Men's Mental Health Month. What have been done so far to encourage the men out there?
Okay, from our organization, Cope and Live Mental Health Awareness Foundation, we have released messages to tell them to take care of their mental health, and their own free counseling is coming up in 2 days' time. We're going to push it out there. Yes, every man can come in for free counseling, and we also have our academy, Koli Mental Health Academy, where we also empower people to improve their knowledge of mental health, where we train people, educators, parents, children, organizations, NGOs, counselors, therapists, to come and get trained and become aware of this challenge that is really eating us deeply, but we are ignoring it, or I don't know if it's for lack of the awareness and education, which is very, very poor. We are also going around making granting some interviews to some of the men that will be released from tomorrow, to hear their own perspective and find out the different stress they go through, how they are coping, and also ask them to also advise other men out there on how to take care of their mental health. We also created a content that we've put out there to show some of the challenges men go through. In a day, they can receive 5 different messages from the wife, mother-in-law, nephew, mechanic, dry cleaner, gate man, tanker man, just a man. So we've put out a content out there for people to see what they go through in a day and actually reduce our expectations. From them, we expect them to be strong. We expect them to man up. We expect 100% attention from them, but they are struggling inside. And they have this culture of keeping things to themselves. They have this culture of bottling up their emotions because they have been told that you're a man.
Should bottle up your
emotions. Bottle up, men don't cry, men don't show weakness. Why are you behaving like a baby?
Does crying really depict weakness?
That is what we think and believe over here, but it doesn't. It doesn't. In fact, crying has its own benefits, but you don't tell that to a man. How can I cry in front of a woman? How will she be looking at me? So we are telling men this month. We've started putting out things, messages, interviews all over globally. We're going to involve people from UK, America, let them tell us their own perspective, Uganda, our partners as well. We have so many people we partner with globally. Even here in Nigeria, we have our partners, the Rangers International Football Club Foundation. We also partner with Capio to carry out some interventions in the correctional centers. If we tell you what we've seen in the correctional centers, or what we've seen with our returned citizens, the ex-inmates, what we tag the ex-inmate, nobody's supporting their mental well-being. Nobody is asking about them. These are people that you just release and you expect them to get integrated into the society. They've not been there. Some people have spent 10 years outside the society. How will they get integrated? How would they socialize? Nobody is talking about them. Nobody is talking about supporting them emotionally, psychologically, mentally. So you see that the work is much, but because we've not seen the need and the important, and we don't even know what mental health is, people are just turning away and acting cool.
So with all these things, what exactly are the barriers to integrating mental health into our healthcare system in Nigeria?
I think the barrier is not focusing on the awareness and education, because knowledge is power. We are not focusing on the awareness. We're not focusing on the education. We are not making policies. We are not advocating. We're not making policies that will support or champion mental health institutions. Take, for instance, hospitals. Some hospitals run without a mental health facility. How do you handle your patients, somebody diagnosed of cancer, diagnosed of probably glaucoma or terminal illnesses? How do you handle them? Survivor victims, maybe fire and all that, or someone that has survived gender and sexual based, but how do you support? You find out that we are more interested in the physical support. You give the person check, you give the person money, you give the person scholarship, but you've not handled the psychological need of that person. So the barrier to this is lack of awareness and education. Because I believe that when people start hearing about mental health in their corners, in their streets, everywhere, I think they will start talking about it's now become an open conversation, and people will start taking care of their mental health, because that is the main stage, the preventive stage, so that you don't create more problems for yourself.
Okay, I believe that stress is the first stage of all these things we've talked about. When you're stressed out, you're burnt out. What do you advise people do whenever they are stressed?
Okay.
What are the things that we can always do whenever we are stressed out, even without having to spend so much money?
Okay, the problem is that a lot of people now hide under stress. Oh, I'm stressed. Even children, you're stressing me. I'm stressed. You know, stress on its own is not a bad thing, and it's an aspect of life we must go through. Everyday life is full of stress. Let me put it that way. So the first is make sure it is not persistent. Make sure it's not a chronic stress. Make sure that you are not adding extra pressures, because the stress are already there. So when we now bring in the baggages, the pressures from peer group, family, social media, office, work pressure, it becomes chronic for us. So the first step is to make sure you're not overwhelming yourself or bringing more pressure or things that will create more pressure to you. Secondly, when you also feel stressed, talking about it helps. You know, when you talk to a trusted one, when you talk to friends, it can help to ease off the emotional pains and relief. Another one you can do is journaling. I preach that a lot. You can just come home, think about your day, have some self-reflection, write it down, remove your mind from, you know, the work stress. Another thing is gratitude. Because we are wallowing in what we've not gotten right, what went wrong, how we have failed, we're not seeing the bright side of life, we're not practicing gratitude. Thereby, we are adding more pressure to our life and stress. Then people will tell you, okay, have rest. Very important. Rest. There are recommended hours of sleep, exercise, take a walk, take your breathing exercises, practice mindfulness, meditations. There are a lot of things you could do to help yourself when you're stressed.
You did not mention maybe hanging out with friends. Doesn't that help?
It depends. Like some people, okay, for example, you say you are stressed and you're hanging out in a noisy environment. Does that add to your stress, or does that help you? That is where we are getting it all. We are stressed and you go to a club. You are stressed, you go to where they are blasting music. All you need is rest and peace of mind. So knowing or unknowingly, the sound is also adding more pressure
to you.
So are you actually resting? You're not actually resting. Probably you don't know that somehow you're still adding more stress to yourself. There's nothing wrong in socializing and hanging out, but you know, when you now target, you know, I'm resting, I'm trying to relieve stress, mind the environment. That is why relaxation is good. You go to where it's quiet. That's why people go home and rest. Go to a quiet environment, observe alone time, sleep, rest, read, dance, sing, watch movie, you know, just do you. Self-care.
Okay, so to the government, because I know in the Western world they have facilities for this. You have clinics where people come in for therapy sessions. They have different activities to help people that have mental health issues. Even people that have been to jail come out. So many things there. So what can the government do in order to help with this situation?
Now let me shock you. When I lost my brother-in-law in America, he died. They sent a counselor to my sister-in-law without asking. They don't need to ask if you need it.
They even go as far as giving you a stipulated amount of money.
Yes,
monthly.
because they know that you are human. You are going through grief and bereavement. This is what you need. That place is still a compassionate society. So they've put these things in place. We don't even have such things in place. How can it come from a government that probably may not even know what it is and the importance of mental health? So we don't have any structure. How can a school be running without a counseling unit? Hospital run without a gun. Organizations, workplaces. How do you support the mental well-being of your staff, your workers? But you expect them to be productive, you expect them to be functional, you expect them to smile and be jovial, you know. But you have not put in institutions, offices, places that will support people's mental health. Even the normal health care is nothing to talk about. That talk about mental, you know, an avenue that takes care of one's mental health. So we don't even have such structures. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board by creating this awareness and educating people and putting in policies which we're also championing, advising, putting out there, creating the awareness. And I believe one day we remain optimistic that they will come to realize the need and importance to put in the structures.
Thank you so much. We could go on with this conversation because it's something we experience in our daily activities. Our conversation was on global mental health issues, and our in-house guest is Mrs. Uzoamaka Nwachukwu, who is a psychotherapist and mental health practitioner. Thank you so much for your input, Ma.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll have our next conversation on politicals. So stay with us.
Every second,
Thank you.
every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.